Today we're going to be reviewing Call of Duty Modern Warfare's campaign, and just to kind of break it down for you, just so everybody has a heads up going into this video, the first half is going to be the spoiler-free stuff, the second half is going to be loaded with spoilers. I will let you know when it's about to change, but just a heads up for those of you that maybe haven't played it yet or are thinking about playing it. And the second half will be for those of us that have played it. Also be wary of the comments, because I'm sure we're going to be talking about the spoilers down in the comments. So let's just jump right into this. Before we get started though, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave it a like. If you want more content like this, then be sure to subscribe. And as always, share the channel by yelling.
Blue Viking 5, this is Echo 3-1. Troops in the open, south gate. You are cleared hot.
Roger, 3-1. Target acquired. Weapons free in 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
So the new Captain Price, he is freaking awesome. He's Captain Price, that's all I gotta say.
Blue! I see you. You armed up? Yes, sir. Captain Price. Sergeant Carrick. You with me?
His saying, "We get dirty so the world gets clean," that quote is perfect for this game, because I'm not gonna lie, it does a really good job of kind of breaking you into the uncomfortable moments at first, and then it just is gonna raise the levels throughout the game. It's a fantastically well done story, the way the missions are done. There's a lot of variety, there's a lot of different things you're going to experience. There's even a mini boss fight when you're playing as a child, which I think everyone's heard of by now, so I don't think that's a spoiler. There's a lot happening in every mission. The gunfights are intense, and the reason I really like the story is it's not just your typical Call of Duty shooting gallery. There's actual weight to the characters. It feels like there's motive and reasons for things happening. I don't feel like this is just a generic action movie campaign. I feel like there's really good character development. There's really good morals shown by the characters who make choices that you think real people would make, and how they feel in certain situations. The history behind some of these characters that you get to explore comes back and actually has an effect on the story, and not just in a way that's forced in there to make sure that this part of the story makes sense. It's actually done really well. One of the things I really like about this campaign as well is it really looks at the realities of modern war and the politics behind these wars, and it asks questions to the player. Not just who is good and who is bad, but real moral questions that create conflict not only within characters, be it the character, one of the characters that you're playing as, or other characters in a story. It looks at some of the histories of some of the characters and how that has influenced them. Again, don't think these are spoilers. In war, nothing is cut and dry. I think that is kind of the gist of what I'm getting at here. There's nothing in combat that is clean, dry. Chaos happens. And when you're in one of those tight conflicts and there's chaos going on around you, not everything is as black and white as a lot of people want it to seem. It's really not. And that's why the chaos in a single skirmish can reverberate around the world, because everyone wants to link something to either be really good or really bad, when in reality there's always some kind of gray area that only the people who are there really know about. And I think that's what this campaign really nails with modern conflicts. And I think this applies to conflicts throughout history. We just have the ability now to be able to see and communicate, and as a world and civilizations, judge people for actions taken in combat when it's never ever cut and dry good versus bad. Now, I will have to say this is one of the, if not the best Call of Duty campaign ever. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to play it again. Like I said, the moments that are supposed to make you uncomfortable really make you uncomfortable. The moments that feel like it's difficult and you just got to keep going really feel difficult and you got to keep going. It really challenges everything about you, and I don't mean just your skills with a controller in your hand. I mean your thinking ability. It questions your morals at certain times. It's a very, very well done campaign, and I really applaud Infinity Ward for it. Now to get to the spoilers section, and so this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want spoilers, stop listening now, turn away, turn it off, do whatever you gotta do. Just avoid spoilers. For those of us that have already played it, this section is for you. So, ready, 3, 2, 1, alright. I'm not gonna lie, some of the parts, like when you get the butcher's family out of the van, that part really made me question myself. Of course, we know things like terroristic acts and women and children being in harm's way were going to happen in this campaign. But when you open the van doors and his family's there right as you're about to interrogate him, I was like, is Call of Duty really going to make me shoot a kid right here? It really goes to show how dirty people get. And I'm sure that there's a lot of those instances around the world that we don't see or ever hear about that probably don't go as cleanly as that. I mean, I have friends that are, or I actually have a current coworker right now who's a former U.S. Army Ranger who told me about some of their interrogation tactics, and it was not the cleanest thing in the world. The one in the game definitely goes a lot smoother than some of the things he described to me. But yeah, some of those events in the game where, you know, women, children, anyone innocent is kind of in harm's way, those are jarring themselves, especially to people who aren't ready for it. And then, of course, it steps it up. And I'm so glad Infinity Ward didn't shy away from it. I'm so glad they made the players feel uncomfortable, because a lot of things, especially Modern Warfare, makes people uncomfortable. A lot of people around the world that are in these situations got to make some really gritty, dirty choices, and that's what keeps this world going round. Like I said, Captain Price says it perfectly. You know, we draw the line where we need to draw the line. That's his job. That's what he does. And whether the actual motives behind it are good or not, that's above his pay grade. He's just doing a job. Now, obviously we can dig into the moral ambiguity of that at a later time, but that's his job. That's his character. That's what he does to make sure that another Piccadilly doesn't happen. Now, I will say characters like Alex and Kyle are great to go along with Price. Kyle is kind of Price's little understudy who's learning the ropes along the way, and everything he saw at Piccadilly, I'm sure it did have a pretty big effect on him. And of course, he's the one that is there with Price interrogating the butcher, and he's the one that brings the family out of the van, and he's the one who takes the final shot on the butcher. He's a good character. I will be interested to see if maybe in a sequel something goes on with his mental stability, if maybe he doesn't hold together quite as well, because we didn't really see that in this game. He seemed to really hold together well, and I thought something might happen, because just about every time something intense happened, Price would ask him a little bit like, you still clear? You still good in the head? Is everything still good? And he'd always say yeah, but it makes me wonder if maybe in a sequel something goes on with Kyle. That was just something I kind of picked up on a little bit. Now, Alex, on the other hand, he works a lot with Farah and Hamid. I think that was his name. Farah and her brother. And I think Kyle was a really good character. He had pretty clear motives. He wasn't exactly thrilled about continuously going on assignment wherever they just kind of told him to go, and he felt like he was really fighting for a good cause. And you see that at the very end of the game where he sacrifices himself. I think Kyle was a really great character. I think he was well written. I don't think we saw maybe enough of him, but I think he was definitely a good character. I really felt for him and the sacrifice that he ended up making at the end. Now, Farah Farah's a badass. She has a very dynamic and conflicting relationship with her brother. And I say that because obviously her brother kind of betrays her. Now I know he had pure intentions in the end, and he knew it was a one-way ticket, but her story and everything she had been through to get to where she was and her final conclusion there at the end of the game, that was a really satisfying ending. Honestly, you could make the argument that she was more of the main character of this game than anyone else, because the story really followed her conflict with not only her brother but Barkov and the wolf, and really the things that had happened to her over her entire life, from as a child seeing her family get killed by Barkov's men, and her and her brother actually almost getting gassed to death, and of course being in prison and Barkov torturing her. And she overcomes all of this to, in the end, still lead a freedom fighter band and win the day at the very end. Even though Alex makes a sacrifice, she does get the final blow on Barkov. And I think her story not only was a satisfying ending, but it was a very well told story. It was well done. I really enjoyed it. I will say that between her and her brother, their conflict basically came down to they both wanted the same thing, they just wanted it done in different ways. She really freaks out when her brother uses gas there in the desert on the Russians, and obviously once you see the flashback and everything that she had been through, you can see why. I don't know why her brother was just cool with it, considering they kind of went through it together, but you do what you gotta do. Like Price says, you gotta get dirty so the world stays clean, and her brother did what he felt like he had to do, even though Farah wasn't really a big fan of it. And of course, at one point, the Americans step in and make sure that they use their politics and interfere with anything good they have going on. And what's the name of the country? It's like Urzikstan. Yeah, they make sure they let their politics get in the way of their allies in Urzikstan, which is just wonderful. So of course, Price and the gang have to come together and do everything kind of on their own, which is a reality. I know it's used as like for plot purposes, but it is a reality of some of the things that have happened in the Middle East regarding Western allies since Lawrence of Arabia in the First World War. Just constant politics and betrayal getting in the way, and it's just really sad, but it ends up working out in the end for the freedom fighting group and our main characters for the most part. I will say the end does do a great job of setting up the inevitable sequel, as enemies never cease to exist in the world, especially in the Call of Duty world. There's always going to be someone to shoot, whether it's in outer space or in Uzbekistan or Urzikstan or however you say the name of it. I'm really excited to see a sequel. I mean, I don't know what they have planned for next year, but whenever Infinity Ward's turn comes back around, I'm sure we're going to see Modern Warfare. Would it be Modern Warfare 2 again? I'm not sure. I don't know what they're going to name it, but for sure we're going to see a sequel, and whatever they do next year, hopefully it's just as good as this one. Hopefully we see a really good campaign again, because this game, honestly, to me, was worth it alone just for the campaign. I just can't wait to see the sequel, honestly. I can't wait to see where they go with it, the new Captain Price. Can't wait to see what they do with Farah, if she even returns. Hopefully they don't just can this whole storyline. Hopefully it continues. Obviously we see them get guys like Soap and the original gang back together, so we should see them back in a sequel. And yeah, let's just hope Infinity Ward fixes the multiplayer so we can keep enjoying this game. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and as always, I will see you in the next video.